Robert Peston, very good to see you.
Pleasure to be here.
I am going to ask you to count us down, please.
Okay.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, when the battery's in.
Okay.
Here we go. There we are.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go!
What is the best bit about your job?
Meeting unbelievably interesting people and thinking about some of the world's most interesting problems every hour of the day.
You worked in newspapers for a long time. What was it like making the transition to television and radio, to broadcasting?
It was a big challenge. I mean, I'd done pretty much all the jobs I wanted to do in newspapers, been in newspapers for, well, more than 20 years, ready for a new challenge. TV, radio seemed like an exciting adventure. But you have to learn how to communicate differently. You know, frankly, stating the bleeding obvious, writing is very different from talking, and it's very different from putting pictures out there. So there's a lot to learn.
Can it be difficult, tricky to get the balance right, or not even get the balance right, just get it right between comment and analysis as a BBC journalist? Because you're not allowed to give your views, but you are allowed to analyse.
As a journalist, I have always wanted, this goes right back to the beginning, to give people the information that is relevant to their lives in the hope that they then come to conclusions about really what it means. I'm not one of those people who feels I've got to shout my view the whole time. I'm interested in getting scoops, getting information that other people, that's important to people's lives that they haven't been able to get hold of. And of course, I am interested, it's not that I don't have views, but actually the transition from print to broadcasting hasn't quite been as challenging as some might have expected it to be, because, you know, I'm not a propagandist. I never have been.
You talk about scoops. I mean, you come into contact with high flyers from the worlds of business, from finance, from politics. How competitive is journalism compared to those worlds?
Oh, well, I'm a very competitive person, and the truth is that there's a certain aspect of journalism which is thrilling, and some would also say, some might also say slightly childish. So, for example, what is one of the great thrills about getting a scoop? It is knowing that all over the country, and sometimes if you get a really huge scoop, all over the world, you know, news desks are ringing up their reporters and saying, why haven't you got this story? Stand it up now. And, you know, it is puerile to get satisfaction out of that. But, you know, I'm afraid I've never really grown up, and I do. And that means I'm very competitive. Actually, journalism, all my working life, has been a pretty cutthroat business. I don't think it's less competitive than banking or business. Now, that said, there are times when journalists attempted to collude. One of the things that I found, I suppose, slightly shocking when I became a political editor at the FT many years ago was the extent to which political journalists from different papers would have a little huddle, more or less on a daily basis, to sort of chat among themselves about what the story is. Now, that was something completely different from anything I'd ever experienced. And I'm not sure actually it is the right way to behave. But on the whole, I would say media organisations are desperately competitive with each other.
Do you think there's an argument at all that financial journalists, financial reporters should act under any form of reporting restrictions during a banking crisis or a financial crisis?
No, absolutely not. I mean, at the end of the day, you know, that kind of control would be, in my view, a ludicrous restriction on freedom of expression, freedom of speech, and would deprive people, citizens, of information they need to make decisions about their lives. So no, I think it would be an appalling idea. I mean, these things were suggested by politicians, bankers, at the time that I was putting into the public domain in 2007 and 2008, all sorts of information about what was going wrong at banks. And fortunately, we stood firm, the BBC stood firm, and we put out the information that people needed.
Would you trade it all in to become the manager of Arsenal?
Do you know what? It's very tempting, but I love journalism so much that actually I'm not even going to trade it in for the other dream job.
Outside work, football, and anything else?
Family.
And I just want to say, you've got a big following on Twitter. Why do you think that is, and how challenging do you think to traditional forms of journalism social media sites are?
I love social media, I love Twitter, because the great thing about it, and it's the big change in my lifetime, is that you get feedback from the people that you are talking to. It's become much more of a conversation. And actually, that makes my job infinitely more enjoyable. And yes, it is a revolution.
Rob Peston, thank you very much.
Nice to see you.